3 months ago, a Nepalese government collapsed in just about 48 odd hours. Cities burnt, state buildings breached and broken. In the center of it all was Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. Since then, he has not spoken. No interviews, no explanations, until now. Breaking his silence, speaking to me from his party office that was burnt down last September. This is a conversation the world has been waiting for. Mr. Oli, the world watched your government fall almost overnight to Gen Z protesters. Was this something that was born organically, the anger on streets of Kathmandu, or was it engineered outside the borders of Nepal?
You said that my government was failed within 1 or 2 days, within a few hours. In fact, what was the reality? Economically, was the government failed, or politically? Or it lost the majority of the parliament? No confidence motion was there or passed? Nothing. Was there, as corruption is talked about, was there such any case of corruption or any other issues? There was nothing. Basically, 3 demands were there: good governance, control of corruption, and reopening of the social media platforms, and which we had temporarily controlled to regularize them. And Supreme Court's order and verdict was there to regulate those medias. And we implemented that Supreme Court's verdict. These demands were, which we were supporting them. We were working for them. And my slogan was, I will never do corruption. And I will not allow anybody to do any corruption.
Why was the youth so unhappy, so angry rather?
Nobody was angry. There was no question of anger. Yes, of course, political differences were there and political forces were criticizing because they were in the opposition. That was opposition's voice to criticize to some extent. And that was in a planned way, prepared for a long time, and very secretly, conspiracy. In the name of Gen Zs, a protest was organized, as I mentioned before, with those demands: corruption control, good governance, and the reopening of those social media platforms. And that was for a few hours. On 8th of September, from 10 to 12 on about, a few thousand students were brought from the school with their uniforms. And in their name, after 2 hours, there were other elements. They joined, and the students were completed their demonstration. They said that our demonstration is successfully completed. And other elements are penetrated here, so we must be back.
Other elements like?
They were not the Gen Zs. Other people. And they were with instruments to break the walls, to cut the iron, etc. too. They were with motorbikes, and there was a group. They were leading the everything. Procession, not only procession, but provoking. And they were trying to create a situation of havoc, chaos, and their target was to destroy, to fire the parliament building. That was not the question of anger. That was not the demand of Genjis. Other elements, they created such a situation that police opened fire and there was casualty, which was a matter of sad. We were very sad. Our effort was to control that and check before that happens. But
your home minister also took responsibility and resigned after the extra force was used.
Moral responsibility. He was really surprised about the things. And security forces were telling me and the home minister also that there will happen nothing because the judges have committed that their demonstration will be peaceful and their demands are open. So there is no any chance of any violence.
So are you saying this was a regime change operation, Mr. Rowley? Because whispers of a deep state plot, they refused to die.
Of course, now Human Rights Commission and a commission formed by the government, they are investigating the case thoroughly. But that was not usual and simple thing. That was unusual. And it couldn't take place haphazardly, all of a sudden. But it was organized in a planned way. It seems, even at that time and later on.
South Asia in the last few years has seen an extremely turbulent time. It started with Sri Lanka, then Bangladesh, 3 months ago Nepal. Do you see a pattern here, Mr. Rowley?
Of course, there are similarities and people were talking from the very beginning. When Sri Lanka, something happened in Sri Lanka, then people were talking in Nepal that in Nepal also will happen the incidents like Sri Lanka. And after that, when incidents happen in Bangladesh, people were talking about in Nepal also that such things will happen in Nepal. And in the name of Genjis, in so many countries, we can say that was not automatically immersed, but or it was not copied by the youths, but it was a planned moment. And we can see news and literatures from different parts of the world.
Because you say that these were outside elements. Did your intelligence give you some sort of heads up?
It was not necessary to give any information by intelligence sources because Sri Lanka, it was loudly telling us. Bangladesh was telling us.
Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, it brew over weeks. Nepal, your government fell like a house of cards within hours. It was, to me as a journalist, it seemed a bit different because it was more spontaneous, if I can use that word.
Yes. It was prepared for that for many years. Mm-hmm. So it was to some extent out of our capacity, or I must say we were not able. There was threat of all these things. There was threat. And people were talking in the parliament, the leaders were talking and others were talking about these things. Such things will happen. Will do all these things. But happen.
In Sri Lanka, then Bangladesh, when the protests became violent, we saw that the leaders fled, but not you. Why?
I do not work against my nation, my people, and the human beings of the world. These three fundamental things are with whom I am always honest. And there is no reason to fly outside, leaving the country. I never leave the country. I trust my people. Yes, of course. There are some bad elements also who burned the country on 8th and 9th of September. So that day I left my residence and I shifted my place to live another place.
Were you scared because your house was attacked, your personal residence, it was set on fire?
That is a very strange story. Why that was fired? That was not my house. I had resigned and dedicated and gave to the society. That was not my property. That was one clause when I handed over that property to the government. There was one clause that until me and my wife are living, nobody should drive out from that house to us. And now, when we are no more, then that is public property. And that was a museum. Everything I had, I collected there. I got so many gifts, so many things, so many arts, so many writings, so many things, so many documents. That was library and museum. That was not my house. One bed and one kitchen was allowed to use for me. And it was my desire. Everything I handed over. Every property I handed over to the public. So it was not mine. My shelter I was taking there. Only that was. Why that was burned? Very mysterious. So it was not a question of people's anger. But something else was working over there.
And yet cities were burned. Your own house, it was set on fire.
Here people how can burn their property, neighbor's property, others' property. How they can, if they are in fear mind, how they can burn, you can imagine. But unfair people, paid elements, provoked by somebody else. How I can burn others' house, others' property, government property, public property, enterprises, business houses, departmental stores. How I can plunder, loot others' property. It is not our culture, not our social value. We cannot even imagine such things, but it took place. And it was not only that incident, but it was attack against our democracy, to weaken our country, to replace our constitution, to demolish democracy, and dismantle our property and set back our country again towards the poverty. So this attack is not only in one side, but politically, economically, socially, culturally, in all and every aspects. One incident, but multiple attacks.
But why were the outsiders then upset if it wasn't the people of the country?
It's not so easy to say, because we have to research and study more about all these things. What's the reason? And who is behind this bag?
What's your best guess?
It takes time. It takes time to understand the things in reality. And we should not guess and imagine.
Mr. Oli, you were also known for your ties with China, infrastructure, diplomacy. Do you think that strategy maybe was unacceptable to certain Western powers?
I'm always in favor of peace, global order. And I'm very serious and anxious about the current global situation too, where there is, it seems that there is no global order. And international organizations are being ineffective to control the violence, etc. So, as you mentioned that, my friendly ties with, my friendship with China, my means as the Prime Minister, as a leader of the country, my friendly relationship with China is reality. My friendly relationship with India is reality. And with other friendly countries, our policy is we have no enemies. All are our friends. I cannot work against any neighbor, and we shouldn't work against any neighbor. And we have policy that will not allow our soil to use against any of our neighbor.
3 months after the country was burnt under your leadership, here you are again back into the race for the elections in March. Do you think, Mr. Oli, you could be the Prime Minister of Nepal once again?
We are the most popular party in Nepal, one thing. And I'm a leader who worked always, since last 60 years, for the country. I was elected by the people. Not only I was elected. Some people were telling that I am most unpopular, but most popular vote I got. I got the largest number in the election throughout the country. I got the largest number in the election. So, I was the person who was elected by the largest votes of the people in my constituency and throughout the country. So, why people are afraid of realizing that probability? And as you asked me before, can I be again
the Prime Minister of the country?
Yeah, you asked. It's not my agenda whether I come back or not. But sovereignty of my country should be strengthened. Independence of my country should be strengthened. So I want to bring back democracy. Constitution is violated. I want to bring back in its position again.
Balen Shah, a young rapper who led the violent protests back in September, is now being discussed as the prime ministerial face within the RSP-led alliance. There are now reports also suggesting that he's been speaking to outsiders. What do you and your party know about this?
He's a young man, and as you said, a rapper. That's good. He's interested in politics. That's good. And he became mayor of Kathmandu metropolitan city once. That is good. And if he wants to join politics and is there, have formed a political party now, that's positive thing. And I respect that positive attitude of them. They must be responsible because they have political party. They must go to the people. They must be responsible to the people. It's a positive thing. So, being the Prime Minister, I don't want to talk on such, not only hypothetical, but such talks in town, talks in coffee shops, this sort of things. I don't want to be indulged on such things.
Also, around 40% of Nepal's population is youth. Do you think that perhaps that's why Nepal needs a young leader? That's the argument that's been coming forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 42% are youths, Nepali populations.
But does that mean that Nepal needs a young leader instead of the old guard?
To be a singer, to practice a song, to do a small thing, to be a player with few years practice is something. But politics is not like that. It's a job of experience, study, research, and policies to drive the country. So, young age is important for what? And experience is important for what? We have to understand. Is it a mistake that over 70 about leaders are running the major countries of the world? You can see USA, who is leading? Are there not youth? They didn't find any youth to lead, and they gave that responsibility to old age people. Or India, Modi is 76 running. They didn't get any Indian youth. That's not the truth. And Russia or Malaysia or Israel or you can say Brazil or China, where sure, just to talk and provoke youths, that youth should lead. No, there must be combination of the people, and there we need some experience to lead the country for the politics.
Mr. Oli, figures emerging from the protest ecosystem are being labeled as revolutionary by much of the media as well. How do you see them?
What is revolution? That is positive thing. One, that need a goal where they want to reach. A destination there should be where they want to reach. And how? What is the way? What is the method? How they can reach? To create a chaos, destroy the things, destroy national property, and destroy everything, create a terror in society, and bring a feeling of insecurity in everybody. That is not revolution. That's chaos. That's anarchism. That is violence. Violence and revolution are two different things. In Nepal, which happened on 8th and 9th of September, is not revolution because there is no goal. The goal was only to destroy, to create problem. So that was anarchism. That was violence. That was a destruction. And we cannot glorify such incidents like revolution. And people who did that, we cannot glorify such people. Instead of punishing them, cannot glorify as revolutionaries.
Do you think, given the current circumstances, the elections will take place in Nepal?
If the environment of election is created by the government, it is in the hand of government. If government gives off the prejudice and politics of revenge towards democracy, democratic parties, political parties and politics, and if it accepts all these things and political parties and policy of negation, if it gives up, then election can take place. If government destroys the situation, election cannot take place. Until now, the situation is not favorable for the election, holding election. It is not favorable.
Why do you say that?
So many weapons are outside. They were looted by the police. So many criminals were outside breaking the prisons. And some hooligan elements are threatening judges, officials, others. They say that, your house is not bought yet. We'll do that. And people are afraid of because they have seen unchecked they bought. So, this situation should be changed. And there must be reliable, peaceful situation where the voters can go fearlessly to vote. For the voting they must go. And at the atmosphere of, at the environment of fear.
Who are these people?
I don't want to name, but they are doing so, some small groups. And
Are these also outsiders?
backing maybe, I don't know. But why government is afraid of with those people? Why they are not controlled, I don't know. But they are not controlled. They are creating a situation of fear and terror, even now. And in such a situation, the situation is not favorable for the election.
Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for coming here and taking this interview with me.